Chapter 1. Dusk arrives. At the edge of evening, the world changes slowly. The sun lowers beyond the trees, and the last bright gold of the day softens into orange, then rose, then lavender. Shadows lengthen across fields and garden paths. The sides of tree trunks grow dark, while their highest leaves still hold a little light. Far above, the sky deepens by gentle degrees, as if a blue cloth were being drawn carefully over the land. This time is called dusk. Dusk is the quiet space just after sunset, when daylight is fading, but night has not fully arrived. It is a time of change in almost every habitat, whether that habitat is a meadow, a forest, a desert, a wetland, or a city park with a few patient trees. A habitat is simply the natural home of a living thing, the place where it finds food, shelter, water, and room to move. As dusk settles, the air begins to cool. Grass that was warm in the afternoon releases its heat, and the first touch of evening gathers along each blade. In some places, moisture rises a little from the soil, making the air feel softer. Leaves, which may have flickered and shone in full sun, become darker shapes against the sky. Branches turn into silhouettes, fine and still. The day's colors withdraw, and the first stars appear one by one, faint at first, then clearer. The sounds change too. During the day, birds may have called from hedges and rooftops. Bees may have moved among flowers. People may have walked along paths. Doors may have opened and closed, and the wider world may have had its daytime hum. But now the daytime chorus grows quieter. Some birds tuck themselves into shrubs or trees. Many daytime insects settle beneath leaves or in cracks of bark. Human activity often fades, especially away from busy roads. Into that growing hush come other sounds: a rustle low in the grass, a soft chirp from somewhere unseen, the thin call of an insect, the stirring of wings in the dim air. Night is not empty, it is simply lived in differently. Many animals are most active after sunset. These animals are called nocturnal. Nocturnal means active mostly at night. A nocturnal animal may spend much of the day resting in a burrow, a hollow tree, a cave, dense leaves, or some other sheltered place, and then begin to move when the light grows low. But nocturnal does not always mean awake for every hour of darkness. Many night-active animals rest in short pauses. Some move early in the evening, become quiet for a while, and move again before morning. Like all living things, they follow rhythms shaped by food, weather, season, and safety. There are other rhythms too. Animals that are active mostly during the day are called diurnal. Many familiar songbirds are diurnal. So are butterflies, and many lizards that bask in sunshine. Some animals are crepuscular, which means they are most active around dawn and dusk. Deer at a forest edge, rabbits in a field, or foxes near a hedgerow may often move during these in-between hours, when the light is gentle and the air is cooler. A few animals are cathameral, a longer word that means they may be active at irregular times across both day and night, depending on what conditions suit them. These words help us notice patterns. They are not strict rules for every creature in every place. An animal may change its schedule when the season changes, when the moon is bright or hidden, when rain has fallen, when food is plentiful, or when people are nearby. In cities, some animals become more active at night because streets and gardens are quieter then. In hot regions, moving after sunset can help animals avoid the strongest heat of the day. In colder seasons, the same animal may choose a different time to search for food. Nature keeps time, but it keeps time flexibly. As the light fades, the senses of night-active animals become especially important. Some nocturnal animals have large eyes, or eyes with many light-sensitive cells that help them notice shapes and movement in dim light. This does not mean they can see perfectly in total darkness. Even the best night vision needs some light, perhaps from the moon, the stars, or the pale glow left in the sky. But sensitive eyes can make good use of that small amount of light. Other animals depend more on hearing. Ears can be shaped to gather faint sounds, the shifting of dry leaves, the tapping feet of a beetle, the soft movement of another animal through grass. Sound may seem to travel differently at night, when the air is cooler and stiller. A call from across a meadow can seem to float for a long way, A rustle beneath a hedge can become meaningful to an animal that knows how to listen. Smell is another guide. To many mammals, the world is layered with scent. A path through grass may carry traces of who passed there earlier. A fallen fruit may announce itself before it is seen. Damp soil, bark, flowers, and fur all leave information behind. A strong sense of smell can help an animal find food, recognize its own territory, or follow a familiar route back to shelter. Then there is touch. Whiskers, which are sensitive hairs, can help an animal feel nearby objects in darkness. A mouse slipping along the base of a wall, a fox moving through tall grass, or a small mammal beneath roots may use whiskers like delicate touch sensors. They can brush against stems, stones, and tunnel walls, helping the animal understand the shape of the space around it. Some creatures move quietly. Soft paws, careful steps, low bodies, muted colors, and stillness can all be adaptations. An adaptation is a body feature or behavior that helps a living thing survive. For one animal, an adaptation may be keen hearing. For another, it may be camouflage, a pattern or color that helps it blend into leaves, bark, sand, or shadow. For another, it may be the habit of resting through hot daylight and moving when the evening air is kind. There is no single design for life after sunset. The night belongs to many different ways of being. In a meadow, the grass cools under the open sky. Tiny insects begin to call from hidden places. At the edge of the field, shrubs hold their leaves close, and the spaces beneath them become small corridors for animals that know every root and hollow. In a forest, the high canopy darkens first, then the lower branches, then the mossy ground. The trunks stand quietly, and the leaf litter takes on the deep, earthy scent of evening. Near a pond, the water reflects what remains of the sky, and reeds make narrow shadows along the shore. The air may feel damp there, touched by the coolness rising from the water. Each place changes in its own way. Yet the pattern is familiar. Fading light, cooling air, settling day, stirring night. The dimness may seem to hide the world, but to a nocturnal animal, dusk can reveal it. Not reveal it in the bright, sharp way of noon, but in layers. A scent trail along a hedge, a movement heard under leaves, a pale flower opening in the dark, a familiar branch reached by memory and touch. The night is read by ears, noses, whiskers, feet, and skin, as well as by eyes. Above the western horizon, the last warm color drains away. The sky becomes a deeper blue. A small wind moves through the grass, and then passes on. The first star brightens, then another. The land seems to pause. But within that pause, life continues. A beetle shifts beneath a piece of bark. A moth rests near a closed flower, waiting for a night-blooming blossom to open. Somewhere low among the roots, a small mammal lifts its nose and tastes the air. Farther off near the line of trees, something moves, and then is still again. As the shadows deepen, attention gathers naturally toward the woodland edge. A branch reaches out over a quiet clearing. On that branch, almost part of the tree itself, a rounded shape waits without hurry. Its feathers blend with bark and shadow. Its face is turned toward the dim meadow, watchful and calm. The night has begun, and in the trees, an owl is listening. #The owl's silent flight. As the last color of dusk settles into the trees, the forest takes on a softer shape. Trunks become dark columns. Leaves gather into shadow. The spaces between branches seem wider now, filled with cool air and a thin wash of moonlight. Somewhere beyond the edge of a field, a bird gives one final daytime note, and then the evening grows still enough for quieter sounds to be noticed. On a high branch, tucked close to the trunk, an owl is waiting. Many owls are most active at night, or in the gentle half-light of dawn and dusk. Animals that are active around these edge times are called crepuscular, a word that simply means they stir when the light is low, but not fully dark. Not every owl follows the same pattern. Some owls may be active during the day, depending on their species and habitat. But many owls belong naturally to the dim hours, when shapes are soft, sounds travel clearly, and the world moves at a slower pace. The owl on the branch is still for a long while. Its body is rounded and quiet, its feathers pale where the moon touches them, and dusky where the shadows gather. An owl is a bird of prey, which means it finds food from other animals, yet here there is no need for drama. It is simply part of the calm work of the night. listening, watching, waiting, and moving only when the moment is right. The owl's face seems almost thoughtful. Its large eyes look forward, unlike the eyes of many birds, whose eyes sit more to the sides of the head. Forward-facing eyes help with depth perception, the ability to judge distance. Depth perception is useful when moving through branches or measuring the space between perch and ground. In low light, a careful sense of distance matters. The owl does not see perfectly in total darkness. No eye can gather light where there is none. But owl eyes are well suited to dimness. They are large, and their retinas, the light-sensitive layers at the back of the eyes, are especially good at using the small amount of light that remains after sunset. The owl's eyes do not move around in their sockets the way human eyes do. They are held quite firmly in place. So when the owl wants to look to one side or behind, it turns its whole head. Slowly, almost smoothly enough to seem like part of the breeze, the owl turns. Its rounded face moves from the meadow to the trees, from the trees to the narrow path below. Some owls can turn their heads very far, up to about 270 degrees, though not all the way around. This helps them take in the quiet scene without shifting their feet or rustling their feathers. Hearing is one of the owl's most important nighttime senses. In some species, the ear openings are asymmetrical, meaning they are not placed in exactly the same way on both sides of the head. One may be a little higher or shaped a little differently than the other. This difference helps the owl compare tiny variations in sound, locating faint movements not only from left to right, but also from above and below. The forest may seem quiet, yet it is full of small information. A dry leaf shifts, a twig settles, grass bends under a tiny foot. To the owl, these are not just noises, they are clues in the dark, soft markings on an invisible map. The owl listens with patience. It does not hurry the night. Then at last it opens its wings. An owl's wings are broad, and broad wings can carry a bird slowly through the air. Many owls also have special feathers that reduce the sound of flight. The surfaces of the feathers are soft, and the edges of some wing feathers have a fine fringe, almost like a comb. This feather fringe helps break up the rush of air that might otherwise make a louder sound. Owl flight is not magical silence, and in some conditions it can be heard, but compared with many other birds, it is unusually quiet. The owl lifts from the branch with only the faintest movement. Its wings press gently down, and its body glides forward between the trees. It passes through a place where moonlight gathers on the forest floor, then into shadow again. The wing beats blend with the air, soft and even. No branch shakes after it passes. No leaves scatter. The owl is simply there, and then a little farther on, and then farther still. Across the field, a low call sounds. Not all owls hoot. Some screech, whistle, trill, bark, or give small calls that seem to belong to the wind itself. Others remain quiet for long stretches. The familiar hoot is only one owl voice among many. Tonight, the call is low and rounded, traveling over meadow grass and resting in the hollows between trees. Owls live in many kinds of places. Depending on the species, they may rest or nest in tree cavities, which are natural holes in old trunks. Some use old nests made by other birds. Some choose cliffs, barns, burrows in the ground, or sheltered corners where they can remain undisturbed during the day. A burrowing owl may stand near the entrance of a tunnel on open land. A barn owl may drift over fields from a quiet beam in an old building. A small owl may disappear into a hollow tree so completely that only the bark seems to remain. Each owl belongs to its own landscape, shaped by climate, food, nesting places, and season. There is no single way to be an owl. Some are large and pale. Some are small and mottled like bark. Some live in forests, some in deserts, some near grasslands, wetlands, farms, or northern tundra. What many share is a set of gentle nighttime skills, sensitive eyes, careful hearing, and wings made for unhurried passage through dim air. The owl in this forest crosses the edge of a clearing. Below, the grass holds a little dew. Beyond the meadow, hedgerows lie like dark ribbons, and the first stars show clearly above them. The owl settles for a moment on another branch, talons wrapped around the wood, body balanced and calm. Its head turns again, slowly, listening to the layered quiet. For a while, everything seems paused with it. The leaves are still. The field is silver. The forest shadows rest in long shapes on the ground. Even the owl's feathers appear to hold the night gently, each soft edge made for moving without disturbance. Then the owl glides onward, away from the branch and over the open place where trees give way to sky. Its pale form passes across the clearing like a drifting thought. Above the dark line of the woods, the night opens wider. And beyond the branches, beneath the first bright stars, other small shapes begin to flicker through the air. Chapter 3. Bats Beneath the Stars. As the forest grows quieter, and the owl's pale shape settles somewhere among the branches, the open sky above the trees begins to change. The last violet of evening deepens into blue. One star appears, then another, and the air near the edge of a meadow becomes cool and still. Over the darkening grass, small shapes begin to move. At first they seem almost like loose leaves lifted by a gentle breeze. They turn and dip, rise and glide, tracing soft paths through the air. These are bats, among the most graceful travelers of the night. Bats are often mistaken for birds because they fly, but bats are mammals. A mammal is a warm-blooded animal with hair or fur, and mothers feed their young with milk. A bat's body is small and furred, and its wings are not feathered like a bird's. Instead, a bat's wing is made from a thin, flexible membrane of skin, stretched across long finger bones. If you could see it closely, very gently, and without disturbing it, you might notice how the wing is like a delicate hand opened wide, with soft skin reaching between each finger. Bats are the only mammals that can truly fly with steady, powered flight. Some other mammals can glide from tree to tree, but bats can lift, turn, and travel through the air by moving their wings. Their flight may look quick from a distance, but there is a quiet rhythm to it. A folding and opening, a tilt, a curve, a smooth return into the evening sky. There are many kinds of bats in the world, more than 1,400 known species. Some are very small. Others, such as many fruit bats, have broad wings and fox-like faces. Some live near forests, some near deserts, some in cities, orchards, caves, bridges, barns, tree hollows, foliage, or beneath loose bark. Not all bats live in caves, though caves can be important resting places for many species. A bat's daytime resting place is called a roost. In a roost, bats may hang quietly, tucked away from bright sun and changing weather, waiting for the cooler hours. Many bats are nocturnal, which means they are most active at night. The night offers them cooler air, quieter spaces, and many foods that are easiest to find after sunset. In a meadow, small insects rise from the grasses. Near a pond, midges and moths move above the water. In a tropical forest, fruit may ripen in the dark, and pale flowers may open with a sweet scent. Many bats find their way using a remarkable sense called echolocation. Echolocation means finding things by making sounds and listening for the echoes. A bat sends out high-frequency sounds, which are often too high-pitched for most humans to hear. These sounds travel through the air, touch nearby objects, and bounce back. The returning echoes tell the bat about the world around it, where a branch reaches into the open space, where the cave wall curves, where an insect drifts, where water lies flat and smooth beneath the stars. It is a little like listening for the shape of the world and returning echoes. The bat does not need to stop and think about each echo in the way a person might think through a puzzle. Its body and brain are adapted to gather this information quickly. The echoes may tell it whether something is near or far, large or small, moving or still. In this way, the night becomes a map made of sound. And yet, bats are not blind. This is an old myth, and it is not true. Many bats can see, and some, especially fruit bats, have very good vision. Some bats use echolocation along with sight. Others use different ways of sensing their surroundings. The bat world is wonderfully varied, and not every bat lives or listens in exactly the same way. Across the meadow, one small bat passes over a still pond. The water below holds a dim reflection of the stars. The bat's wings seem like soft, dark ribbons against the sky. It turns near the reeds, then follows the edge of the field, where insects gather above the cool grass. Many bats eat insects, and in doing so, they become part of the quiet food web of night. A food web is the set of feeding connections among living things. Insects feed birds, frogs, spiders, bats, and many other animals, and each creature has its place in the larger pattern. Farther away, beyond the meadow, another kind of bat visits flowers. Some bats feed on nectar, the sweet liquid made by blossoms. In dry places, nectar-feeding bats may visit night-blooming plants such as agaves and some cacti. As a bat reaches into a flower, pollen may dust its face or fur. Pollen is the fine powder flowers use to make seeds. When the bat moves to another blossom, it may carry pollen with it. This is pollination, a quiet exchange between flowers and their visitors. Because of these nighttime visits, some plants can make fruit and seeds. In tropical forests, fruit-eating bats have another gentle role. They feed on ripe fruit and may carry seeds away from the parent tree. Later, those seeds can fall in new places, helping young plants begin. This is called seed dispersal, or the spreading of seeds. In this way, a bat crossing the dark canopy may help a forest renew itself, one small seed at a time. Not every bat eats the same food. Some eat insects, some sip nectar, some eat fruit. A few species have other diets. Their lives differ from place to place, shaped by climate, flowers, trees, caves, rivers, and the seasons. But wherever bats live, they are part of the nighttime community, moving through the hours when many other animals are resting. At the cool entrance of a cave, the air feels still and mineral cool. Some bats may roost deep inside such places, hanging close together where the temperature is steady. Others rest in hollow trees, under bark, beneath bridges, or among leaves. A wild bat, like any wild animal, should not be handled. It is best admired quietly from a respectful distance, as it follows its own path through the night. Now the sky is fully dark, and the bats continue their soft crossings. Their voices are mostly beyond human hearing, yet their presence can be seen in the gentle flicker of wings beneath the stars. They pass over the pond, over the orchard, over pale flowers opening in the cooler air. And as they drift beyond the meadow and into the wider night, attention lowers from the sky to the grasses below. Beneath the same stars, along the hedgerow, the dew gathers on each blade, and another quiet traveler begins to move. Chapter 4. Foxes in the moonlit meadow. Beyond the trees, where the forest loosens into open land, a meadow waits under the moon. The grasses are tipped with dew, each small drop holding a faint silver gleam. A hedgerow marks the edge of the field, its woven branches and leaves forming a quiet green wall. By day it is busy with birds and bees, but now it belongs to softer movements, a stem bending, a leaf shifting, a paw placed carefully on damp earth. Along this field edge, a fox appears. In the moonlight, its red-orange coat is muted to a gentle gray, as though the night has brushed it with ash and silver. The tail, full and low behind it, carries a pale white tip that slips in and out of shadow. The fox pauses beside the hedgerow, neither hurried nor still for long, simply listening to the meadow in its own patient way. Foxes are mammals in the dog family. The red fox is one of the most widespread and adaptable foxes in the world. It can live in forests, grasslands, farms, mountains, and even cities, wherever there is shelter, food, and enough quiet space to move. Not all foxes are red. There are Arctic foxes, fennec foxes, gray foxes, and other kinds, each suited to its own place. But here, in this moonlit meadow, it is a red fox that passes through the grass. A fox is often most active at twilight or at night, especially in places where daytime is busy with people. The word for animals most active at dawn and dusk is crepuscular. Some foxes are crepuscular, some are more nocturnal, and some change their habits with the season, the weather, or the quietness of their surroundings. In a city, a fox may wait until streets are calm. In the countryside, it may wander the field edge at dusk, rest for a while, and move again later under the stars. The fox lowers its narrow muzzle toward the ground. A muzzle is the nose and mouth area of an animal, and for a fox it is one of the most important guides through the night. Its sense of smell is strong and detailed. To the fox, the meadow is not only grass and soil, but a layered map of scents. Rain from yesterday, roots beneath the hedge, ripe berries fallen near the path, the trail of another fox, the faint trace of insects among the stems. Some of these scents are new. Some are familiar, belonging to paths the fox has followed many times. Foxes communicate with scent markings, leaving smells that other foxes can read. A scent mark may say that a fox has passed this way, or that a place is part of its usual range. To human senses, the message is mostly hidden. To a fox, it can be as clear as a note left beside a gate. Now the fox lifts its head. Its ears, tall and triangular, turn slightly, one toward the hedge and one toward the open field. Foxes have excellent hearing. They can notice faint sounds in the grass and under leaves, sounds too small or too blended from many other animals to separate. The meadow makes a soft chorus, a distant rustle, a cricket rhythm, a breeze moving the seed heads, the quiet settling of soil. The fox listens without strain, letting each sound arrive. Its eyes, dark and bright in the low light, are well suited for dusk and night. Good low-light vision does not mean seeing perfectly in complete darkness. Most night animals still need some light, or they use other senses as well. The fox uses sight together with hearing, smell, and touch. The world after sunset is not empty to it. It is simply read in more than one way. As it steps forward, the fox's paws press into the soft earth with care. Its body stays low and easy, moving along the natural line where meadow meets hedge. Many wild animals use edges like this, where open space and shelter are close together. The hedgerow gives cover, and the meadow offers seeds, fruit, insects, and the small creatures that live among roots and grass. Fine whiskers grow on the fox's muzzle, and some sensitive hairs also grow on its legs. Whiskers are more than decoration, they are touch sensors, helping an animal feel nearby surfaces, narrow spaces, or the movement of air around objects. In darkness, a brush of whiskers against grass or twig can tell the fox something about where it is and what lies beside it. The fox pauses near a patch of low plants where fallen fruit has softened on the ground. Foxes are opportunistic feeders, which means they eat many kinds of available food. Depending on where they live and what the season provides, they may eat small mammals, insects, fruit, birds' eggs, earthworms, and other foods they come across. In towns and cities, some foxes may also find scraps left by people, though they remain wild animals and are not pets. Their flexibility is one reason red foxes can live in so many different habitats. Tonight, the fox noses gently at the grass, then moves on. The meadow has many offerings, and there is no need to hurry. A beetle crosses a bit of bare soil. A berry has fallen beneath the hedge. Somewhere below the surface, earthworms are active in the dampness. The fox's path is not a straight line, but a soft weaving, guided by scent and sound, by memory and by the shape of the land. Not far from the meadow, there may be a den, a tunnel in a bank, a sheltered place under roots, or an old burrow adapted for fox use. Foxes use dens especially for raising their young and for resting, though adult foxes may also rest above ground, in quiet thickets, tall grass, or other sheltered places. A den is not always a tidy home in the way people imagine. It is a practical refuge, chosen for cover, dryness, and shelter from weather and disturbance. The fox reaches a gap in the hedgerow and stands there for a moment, its outline fine and still. Its tail hangs low, its ears turn once more. It may give a small call on another night, for foxes communicate with voices as well as scent and body language. Some calls are sharp, some are brief, and some travel far through cold air. But this meadow remains quiet now, held by moonlight and the slow breathing of grasses. Then the fox slips through the gap, following a narrow path worn by many feet over many seasons. Its white-tipped tail is the last part visible, before the leaves close softly behind it. The field seems still again, but it is only still from a distance. Near the hedgerow, tiny movements begin to appear. Pale blossoms open a little wider in the cool air. Small wings tremble near the flowers. Beetles move over bark and stems, and the first faint rhythms of night insects settle into the dark. Here at the meadow's edge, the larger footsteps pass onward, and the smallest night workers begin their quiet rounds. Chapter 5. Moths, Beetles, and Night Insects. As the meadow settles beneath the moon, the larger shapes of evening become quieter. The fox has passed into the hedgerow, The owl is only a soft memory among the trees. Now the eye begins to notice smaller things: a stem bending slightly, a pale wing turning near a flower, a tiny movement along the rough side of a log. Night belongs not only to animals with fur and feathers, it also belongs in many places to insects. Some insects are active by day, some by night, and some at both times, depending on the species, the season, and the weather. But after sunset, many small lives begin to move through the grass and leaves. Moths drift among blossoms, beetles travel slowly across bark and soil. Crickets and katydids add their repeating notes to the dark. Mosquitoes and midges gather near damp places. In some regions, certain bees or wasps may also be active in dim light. And where the habitat is right, fireflies shine softly above the grass, like little lanterns that appear, pause, and fade. A moth rests near a pale flower. Its wings are dusted with tiny scales, so fine they can look like powder. These scales give moth wings their colors and patterns, sometimes soft brown or gray, sometimes cream, green, rose, or gold. Many moths are nighttime visitors, though not all moths are nocturnal. Some fly in daylight too. But the moths of this evening move quietly in the cooler air, their wings opening and closing with gentle patience. Nearby, a night-blooming flower has opened. It is pale, almost luminous in the moonlight, and it carries a sweet scent into the air. Many flowers that welcome night visitors have light-colored petals and strong fragrance. In low light, brightness and scent can help guide insects toward nectar, the sweet liquid made by flowers. As a moth feeds, grains of pollen may cling to its body. Pollen is the fine powder that helps plants make seeds. When the moth visits another flower, some of that pollen may be carried along. This is pollination, the quiet moving of pollen from flower to flower, allowing plants to form seeds or fruit. The moth does not need to understand the work it is doing. It simply follows scent and sweetness. Still, in its small way, it helps the meadow continue. A moth's antennae are especially important in the dark. Antennae are the feeler-like parts on an insect's head, used to sense smell, touch, and movement in the air. Some male moths have wide, feathery antennae, shaped almost like tiny ferns. These can detect pheromones, which are chemical messages released by other moths. To a moth, the night is not empty at all. It is full of invisible trails: flower scent, damp leaf scent, messages carried on the air. Chirp, pause, chirp. From the grass comes the steady rhythm of a cricket. A moment later, another sound answers from deeper in the weeds. Crickets and katydids make their music by rubbing body parts together, often parts of their wings. This is not singing in the way a bird sings, but it fills the night with pattern. The sound may change with temperature, and different species have different rhythms. On a warm night, the calls can come close together. On a cooler night, they may slow, leaving more silence between each note. Chirp, pause, chirp. Rustle, stillness, rustle. A beetle moves along the base of a tree. Its body is smooth and dark, catching just a small gleam of moonlight. Beetles are a very large group of insects, with many forms and many ways of living. Some beetles fly, some burrow, some climb over bark, fallen leaves, or stones. Many are active at night, moving under the cover of darkness, feeding, finding mates, or traveling from one sheltered place to another. The beetle's legs touch the bark carefully. It does not hurry. It follows ridges and cracks, passing a patch of moss and a curled brown leaf. Around it, the tree trunk is like a landscape of valleys and hills, large enough for a whole tiny journey. Across the meadow, a small green-yellow light appears. Then it disappears. Then another glows. Fireflies are not flies at all. They are beetles. Their soft light comes from bioluminescence, which means light made by a living thing. Inside a firefly's body, a chemical reaction produces a glow without much heat. Some fireflies flash in patterns that help them find others of their species. Some glow steadily. Some kinds do not make light as adults, even though their young may glow. Like so much in nature, the details depend on the species and the place. The firefly lights hover low over the grass. Glow, pause, glow. A faint breeze moves through the stems, and the lights seem to drift with it, though each belongs to a small beetle with its own path through the night. In warm, damp fields and woodland edges, their signals can make the darkness feel tender and alive. Yet fireflies, like many nocturnal insects, do best where the night is allowed to be dark. Bright artificial lights can confuse or disturb insects that use moonlight, starlight, scent, and shadow to guide them. A gentler night, with fewer unnecessary lights, can be kinder to these small travelers. The meadow continues its quiet work. A mosquito circles near a wet ditch. A small gnat rests beneath a leaf. A beetle slips under a piece of bark. A moth turns toward another flower opening slowly in the dark. Some insects feed on nectar. Some feed on leaves, fungi, roots, or decaying wood. Some help break down fallen things, returning them little by little to the soil. Some become food for bats, frogs, birds, spiders, and small mammals. Insects are woven into many food webs, which are the connected feeding relationships among living things. They are small, but they are not separate from the larger night. They help hold it together in countless quiet threads. Near the hedgerow, the cricket rhythm softens and rises again. Chirp, pause, chirp. Rustle, stillness, rustle. The moth at the pale flower lifts away, its wings almost soundless. For a moment it passes through a bar of moonlight, then becomes a gray shape among gray leaves. Below it, a beetle continues along the dark seam where grass meets soil. The world at this scale is close and sheltered. Flower stems like trunks, dewdrops like clear beads, leaf edges like green roofs. The moth drifts toward the darker edge of the woods, where the flowers thin and the ground grows softer. The beetle also moves that way, down from the bark and across a root half covered in moss. Under the trees, the air smells of damp wood and fallen leaves. The meadow's open silver light gives way to deeper shade. And there, beneath the ferns and low branches, the forest floor holds its own quiet night. Chapter 6: The Forest Floor at Night. As the forest grows quieter above, another small world becomes easier to notice below. The tall trunks stand in the dimness like gentle columns, and the leaves overhead hold the last traces of evening. Near the ground, where roots twist through the soil, and moss gathers in soft green patches, the night has its own slow movements. The forest floor is not empty after sunset. It is a close and sheltered place, full of fallen leaves, damp wood, fern stems, stones, burrow entrances, and hollow spaces beneath logs. Here, many small animals go about their quiet tasks. Some are mammals, warm-blooded animals with fur. Some are amphibians, such as frogs and salamanders, whose lives are often linked to moisture. Many more are invertebrates, animals without backbones, including insects, worms, slugs, beetles, and millipedes. In daylight, much of this activity is hidden. A curled leaf may look still. A log may seem only like old wood returning to the soil. But when the air cools and the forest shade deepens, the ground begins to shift in tiny ways. Leaf litter, the layer of fallen leaves covering the earth, gives a soft, dry whisper as something passes underneath. A beetle moves over bark. A worm draws itself slowly through damp soil. The forest's smallest paths are not marked by signs, yet many animals know them well. For small mammals, the night is often a time for careful travel. A mouse may step lightly along a root, pausing beneath a fern. Mice are often active at night, though this can vary by species and place. Some spend part of the evening searching for seeds, fruits, fungi, or other foods, always close to cover. Their whiskers brush the edges of stems and stones. Whiskers are sensitive hairs that help an animal feel nearby objects, especially when light is low. To a mouse moving through darkness, a whisker touching bark or moss can be as useful as a hand on a familiar wall. Scent is also important near the ground. A scent trail is a path marked by smell, and many small animals use scents to learn where they are, where others have passed, and where food may be found. The forest floor carries many quiet messages this way. Damp earth holds smells well, so do roots, leaves, and old logs. To a human nose, the air may simply smell of soil and wood. To a small mammal, it may be layered with information. In some forests, especially across parts of Europe, Asia, Africa, and places where they have been introduced, such as New Zealand, a hedgehog may wander through the undergrowth. Not every forest has hedgehogs. They are not native to the Americas or Australia, except where humans have brought them to certain places. But where they do live, many hedgehogs are nocturnal, meaning they are active mostly at night. A hedgehog moves close to the ground, nosing gently through leaves. Its body is covered with short spines, and its face is narrow and curious. It does not need bright light to find its way. Its sense of smell and hearing help it search for insects, worms, slugs, and other small invertebrates. It may pause with its nose near the soil, listening and sniffing. If it feels the need to protect itself, a hedgehog can roll into a tight spiny ball, but most of its night is quieter than that. A slow path through grass, leaves, and shadow, guided by scent and sound. Nearby, a shrew may hurrow beneath low plants. Shrews are very small mammals, but they are not rodents. They belong to a different group, and many of them eat insects and other tiny animals. Their bodies use energy very quickly. This is called a high metabolism. Metabolism is the way a body uses energy from food. Because shrews use energy so fast, many are active in short bursts, sometimes during the day and sometimes at night, depending on the species and conditions. A shrew's world is close and busy. It may travel through tunnels in the grass, under roots, or through spaces beneath leaves. Its pointed nose explores the ground. Its whiskers feel the edges of its path. To a creature so small, a fallen branch is like a bridge, a curled leaf is like a roof, and the space beneath a mossy log may be a useful shelter for a little while. The forest floor offers many kinds of cover. Cover means places where animals can move or rest while staying hidden from open view. A hollow log may shelter insects, spiders, amphibians, and small mammals at different times. The space beneath tree roots may lead to a burrow, a hole or tunnel used by an animal. A pile of leaves may hold moisture and warmth. Loose bark may lift just enough for a beetle to slip beneath it. None of these places needs to be tidy. Wild shelters are often irregular and simple. A crack, a tunnel, a shadowed hollow, a folded leaf. Amphibians may also use the night's cool dampness. In a moist forest, a salamander may move slowly over wet leaves, its skin shining faintly. Many amphibians depend on damp conditions because their skin can lose moisture easily. After rain, or when mist rests near the ground, they may travel farther than they would in dry air. Their movements are unhurried, close to the soil, part of the same quiet layer of life as the worms and beetles around them. All around, invertebrates continue their patient work. Worms loosen and mix the soil. Beetles move through decaying wood. Millipedes and other small creatures help break down dead leaves. This breaking down is part of how forests renew themselves. Leaves fall, soften, and slowly become part of the earth again. The nutrients inside them return to the soil, where roots can take them up. Even the smallest nighttime movements help the forest continue. Above the ground, the trunks rise into darkness, but below, the forest is textured and near. Moss holds cool moisture like a quiet sponge. Ferns lean over narrow trails. Tiny feet cross roots polished by rain and time. A mouse pauses beside a stone. A shrew slips beneath leaves. A beetle follows the curve of bark. Somewhere in the undergrowth, a hedgehog, if this is a forest where hedgehogs belong, noses through the leaf litter and then moves on. The night here is not wide and open. It is close, sheltered, and full of touch. Animals find their way by brushing against the world, smelling the path, listening for faint changes, and remembering routes used before. Their lives are small in scale, but not small in importance. Beneath the canopy, under the ferns and beside the roots, the forest floor carries on with steady patience. After a while, even these tiny movements seem to soften. The leaves settle again. A burrow entrance remains dark and quiet. Moist earth holds the print of a passing foot, and old wood rests under a silver edge of moonlight. Far from this damp forest ground, under the same stars, another nighttime place is cooling. There, the moon touches stone and sand, and the day's warmth slowly leaves the desert floor. Chapter 7. Desert Night Wanderers. Far from the forest floor, beyond meadows and hedgerows, there are places where the day holds its heat like a stone held in the palm of the sun. These are deserts, dry regions where rain is scarce, and every living thing has learned a careful way of using water, shade, and time. A desert is not always a sea of sand. Some deserts are made of gravel plains, dark rock, dry washes, pale clay, or low hills scattered with shrubs. Some are edged with mountains. Some grow cacti and thorny bushes. Some are cold for much of the year. Yet in many deserts, especially the hot ones, the hours after sunset bring a quiet change. The light fades from gold to rose, then from rose to blue. The sand and stones, warm from the day, begin to release their heat into the open air. Shadows stretch from rocks and shrubs. The scent of creosote bush, sagebrush, dust, and dry earth seems to rise more clearly as the air cools. Above, the sky grows wide and deep, and the stars appear bright in the clear desert darkness. For many desert animals, nighttime is the gentler time to move. During the day, the sun can be harsh, and the ground may become too hot for small feet. By resting in burrows, rock crevices, or shaded hollows through the brightest hours, animals save water and energy. A crevice is a narrow crack in rock, and in a desert, even a small crack can be a useful shelter. A burrow, tucked underground, may stay cooler than the surface through the long afternoon. Not every desert animal is nocturnal, and not everyone follows the same schedule. Some are active at dawn or dusk, when the world is between day and night. Others change their habits with the season, the moon, the temperature, or the arrival of rare rain. But after sunset, the desert often becomes quietly busy in ways that are easy to miss unless one watches slowly. On a flat stone that still holds a little warmth, a gecko may appear. Many geckos are active at night, though there are many species, and each has its own way of living. Some have large eyes that gather dim light, helping them see shapes and movement under stars or moonlight. Their eyes may look glossy and dark, reflecting the world in miniature. Many geckos have special toe pads that help them climb smooth surfaces, though not all geckos have these pads. The gecko moves with pauses, stillness, and small steps, as if measuring the night through its feet. Nearby, the sand may show fine marks, the line of a beetle crossing a wash, the dimpled trail of a small lizard, the tiny prints of a rodent that has come out after dark. In the deserts of North America, kangaroo rats are among the quiet wanderers of the night. They are small rodents with strong hind legs, and they move by hopping, their long tails helping with balance. Much of the water it needs can come from seeds and from metabolic water. Metabolic water is water made inside the body when food is broken down for energy. This does not mean a kangaroo rat could never drink if water were available, but many species are well adapted to living where open water is rare. They gather seeds with careful efficiency, and depending on the species, they may carry them in cheek pouches or store them in burrows. The burrow is a small underground world, buffered from heat and dryness. Inside, seeds may wait in hidden chambers, and the air may stay steadier than the air above. Outside, under the stars, a kangaroo rat pauses beside a low desert shrub. Its ears listen, its whiskers and nose gather information from the ground. Then it hops lightly onward, leaving a pattern in the soft sand that the morning wind may later smooth away. Across a gravelly patch, a scorpion may move slowly between stones. Many scorpions are nocturnal, and they too are suited to the dark. They sense vibrations through the ground and use touch-sensitive hairs along their bodies to understand what is nearby. These hairs are like very fine instruments, noticing small movements in the air or soil. Scorpions can be observed calmly as ancient desert animals going about their lives. They spend the hotter hours tucked under rocks, in burrows, or in other sheltered places. At night, they step out into cooler air. One curious fact about scorpions is that they fluoresce under ultraviolet light. To fluoresce means to glow when a certain kind of light shines on them. Scientists have studied this glow, but the reason for it is not fully understood. Like many things in nature, it remains partly a mystery, held quietly beneath the desert stars. Above the stones, the air may shift with soft wings. In some deserts, bats fly after sunset, passing over dry washes or blooming plants. Bats are not the only night pollinators here. Moths may drift toward pale blossoms, and beetles or other insects may visit flowers that open when the temperature falls. Some desert plants save their blooming for the night. A cactus flower may unfold slowly, petal by petal, white or cream-colored in the moonlight, with a scent that carries through cool air. These night-opening flowers may welcome bats, moths, or other visitors that help with pollination, the movement of pollen from one flower to another, so plants can make seeds or fruit. In a desert, timing can be as important as shape or size. A flower that opens at night avoids some of the drying heat of the day. An animal that rests in shade and moves in darkness saves moisture. A seed stored underground may wait for a better season. Each life is part of a patient pattern. An owl may sit on a desert perch, quiet against the sky. A fox may follow the edge of a wash where shrubs grow thicker. Some snakes, depending on the species and weather, may move in the cooler hours as well. Insects thread through the low plants. The desert does not need to be crowded to feel alive. Its life is often spacious, with long distances between movements, and long pauses between sounds. The breeze crosses dunes, stones, and gravel flats. It brushes over dry stems and carries the faint resin scent of desert plants. Stars shine with a clarity that seems to make the whole sky deeper. The day's heat continues to leave the land, and the night may become cool, even cold. Small animals know the sheltering shapes of rock and root. They know where shade lingers, where seeds collect, where blossoms open, where the ground is firm, and where it is soft enough to hold footprints. Slowly, the desert night settles into its quiet rhythm. A gecko resting on stone. A moth near a pale flower. A kangaroo rat pausing beneath a shrub. A scorpion feeling the world through vibration and touch. Around them, burrows and crevices wait, cool and hidden, ready for the next bright day. And under the same turning earth, far beyond the dry washes and open stars, another kind of night gathers. There, leaves hold rain instead of dust. And the darkness is layered with green. Chapter 8. Rainforest After Dark. Far from the open meadow and the dry desert air, under the same patient moon, there are forests where the night feels warm and green. Tropical rainforests grow in places where sunlight, rain, and steady warmth help life gather in many layers. There is the forest floor, dim and rich with fallen leaves. There are trunks wrapped with mosses and climbing vines. Higher still, branches spread into the canopy, the leafy roof of the forest, where many animals move without ever touching the ground. After sunset, a rainforest does not become empty. It changes its rhythm. The air cools a little, though it may still feel soft and humid. Broad leaves hold beads of water from an afternoon shower. Now and then, a drop slips from one leaf to another, then another, making a slow, delicate tapping as it travels downward. Moonlight enters only in pieces, broken by the canopy into pale shapes on bark, fern, and root. Rainforests are not all the same. The Amazon in South America, the Congo Basin in Africa, the forests of Southeast Asia, Central America, and Northern Australia each have their own animals, plants, and nighttime sounds. Some nights are full of calling and movement. Other nights are quieter, with only rain, insects, and the soft settling of leaves. But in many tropical forests, the dark hours are an important time. Warm temperatures, layered vegetation, and abundant food allow many creatures to be active after sunset. Near a damp hollow where water gathers, a tree frog rests on a leaf. Tree frogs belong to groups of frogs that are often good climbers, though not every frog in a rainforest lives in trees. Many tree frogs are active at night, especially when the air is moist. Their skin is delicate and damp, and this moist skin helps them breathe and helps them stay hydrated. For amphibians like frogs, water is part of life in a very close way. Even the air around them matters. When the season is right and the rain has softened the forest, frogs may call near puddles, streams, or other wet places. Their calls can sound like soft bells, tiny wooden notes, gentle whistles, or low pulses hidden among leaves. These calls help frogs find one another. They also mark a quiet presence in the dark, a small voice in a large forest. One frog calls, then another answers from farther away, and the sound spreads lightly through the lower layer of plants beneath the canopy. Along a nearby trunk, insects move in careful tiny ways. A beetle follows the grooves and bark. A moth rests near a pale flower whose scent is stronger at night. Some rainforest flowers open or release their fragrance after sunset, when bats, moths, beetles, or other night visitors are more likely to find them. This can help with pollination, the movement of pollen from one flower to another so plants can make seeds or fruit. A visitor receives nectar or another reward, and the flower may receive help making the next generation of plants. In the deep green middle of the forest, a sloth rests among leaves. Sloths are tree-dwelling mammals of Central and South America. Their long limbs and curved claws help them hang from branches, and their slow movement is one of their most familiar traits. Moving slowly helps them conserve energy, which means using energy carefully. Not all sloths follow exactly the same schedule. Some are mostly active at night. Others may move during the day or night, depending on the species, the weather, and the place where they live. In the rainforest after dark, a sloth may shift its weight almost imperceptibly, reach toward leaves, or settle deeper into the shelter of branches. Its pace is so gradual that the forest seems to breathe around it. Rain beads on nearby leaves. A liana, a woody climbing vine, curves from one tree toward another, like a long green rope. Higher, in the canopy of Central and South American forests, another gentle night animal may be moving. The night monkey, also called the owl monkey. Night monkeys are among the only truly nocturnal monkeys. They have large eyes that help them use the dim light of the moon and stars, though, like all animals, they cannot see in absolute darkness. They move through branches with care, pausing among leaves and shadows. Their world is a high one, made of crossing limbs, soft calls, and familiar pathways through the trees. From the forest floor, much of this life may be heard more than seen. A branch shifts. A fruit drops softly into leaves below. Somewhere overhead, a bat passes through a gap in the canopy, its wings briefly outlined against a small patch of sky. Bats are important night travelers in many tropical forests. Some feed on insects, some visit flowers for nectar, some eat fruit and later spread seeds as they move through the forest. In this way, bats can help forests regenerate or grow back and renew themselves. A seed carried away from its parent tree may fall in a place where light, soil, and moisture give it a chance to sprout. Not every bat has the same diet, and not every forest has the same bat species, but many rainforests are shaped in part by the quiet work of bats after dark. There are spiders too, some wading in silk threads beaded with moisture, others walking carefully along leaves. There are tree-dwelling mammals in different regions, some moving between branches, some nibbling fruit, some following scent through the canopy. There may be luminous insects in certain places, giving small greenish glimmers among the plants. Though such lights are not found in every rainforest, each creature belongs to its own region, its own season, its own pattern of rain and flowering and fruit. The rainforest night is layered, but it need not feel crowded. Sounds rise and fade. A frog calls, then rests. Insects create a soft, steady texture, like a fine woven cloth of sound. Rain begins again, lightly at first, tapping the upper leaves before reaching the lower ones. The canopy receives the drops, slows them, divides them, and lets them fall in 1,000 gentle paths. On the forest floor, the water gathers. It slips around roots, darkens the soil, and fills small hollows. It runs beneath ferns and over smooth stones. Every drop seems to find a way onward. Some water sinks into the earth. Some joins narrow streams, where fallen leaves drift slowly. The forest holds the rain for a while, then releases it little by little. And so, as the warm night continues, the water begins its quiet journey outward. From leaf to root, from root to rivulet, from rivulet to stream, it moves beyond the trees. In calmer, more open places, it will spread into ponds, marshes, river edges, and moonlit shores, where reeds stand still, and the surface of the water gathers the silver light. Chapter 9. Shoreline and Wetland Nights. Far beyond the trees, under the same patient moon, water gathers in low places and holds the night in its quiet hands. A wetland may be a marsh, where grasses and reeds rise from shallow water. It may be a swamp, shaded by trees with roots in mud. It may be a pond, a lakeshore, a river edge, a soft mudflat, or an estuary where a river meets the sea and fresh water mingles with salt. Wetlands are places of meeting. Land meets water. Roots meet silt. Air meets mist. Many kinds of living things find shelter here. Amphibians, fish, birds, insects, reptiles, and mammals. An amphibian is an animal such as a frog or toad, often able to live both in water and on land during different parts of its life. Reptiles, such as turtles, carry their own quiet ways through the reeds. Fish move below the surface. Insects drift, hum, or rest among stems. Mammals may leave delicate tracks along the bank and then vanish again into shadow. At night, a pond can seem almost still, but it is not empty. Moonlight ripples across the surface in long silver lines. A light breeze moves through cattails, those tall wetland plants with brown rounded flower spikes. Reeds whisper softly near the shore, bending and lifting, as if breathing with the water. On broad lily pads, beads of water gather like small clear stones. Now and then a soft splash sounds far away, gentle and brief, and then the pond returns to its low murmur. In warm or wet weather, frogs and toads are often active after sunset. Many frogs call at night, especially during breeding seasons, when their voices help them find mates and mark their presence. The calls may be deep and slow, or bright and ringing, or soft as a thumb drawn over the teeth of a comb. Each species has its own pattern, and each wetland has its own evening chorus. One frog may call from among the reeds, another answers from farther across the pond. A third voice rises from the muddy edge, beneath overhanging grass. Together the sounds come and go in waves. They are not hurried, they rise, rest, and rise again. The water carries them outward, and the leaves receive them. In some seasons the frogs are quiet. In others, after rain has darkened the soil and filled small pools, the calls become part of the night's steady rhythm. Near the shallows, a heron stands with long legs in the water, still as a painted shadow. Some herons are active mostly by day, or at twilight, but a few are well known for feeding at night. The black-crowned night heron and the yellow-crowned night heron carry the word night in their common names, and in suitable places they may move through dim wetlands with calm patience. Their bodies are compact for herons, their necks tucked softly as they wait near the edge of the water. The heron does not need to hurry in this quiet scene. It listens. It places each foot carefully, so the water barely wrinkles around its toes. Then it pauses again, becoming part of the reeds and reflections. Behind it, the pond gathers pale light. Above it, a few stars appear between slow-moving clouds. Along another bank, an otter may slip through the water like a dark ribbon. Otters are mammals, and their activity patterns vary by species and by place. Some may be active in daylight, some are more active at night, especially in areas where daytime brings more human disturbance. In the water, an otter's whiskers help it sense small movements and vibrations. Whiskers are sensitive hairs, like delicate touch sensors, useful in dim places where sight is only one part of knowing the world. The otter's path is smooth. It leaves a widening ring behind it, then disappears beside the reeds. A moment later, it surfaces near a fallen branch, breathes quietly, and sinks back into the dark water. There is no rush in its movement, only an easy familiarity with the pond's hidden paths. The wetland is a map of scent, sound, current, and touch. On a half-submerged log, a turtle rests low and quiet. Many turtles are active mainly by day, warming themselves in sunlight and moving when the world is bright. But depending on the species, the season, and local conditions, some turtles may move, feed, or nest at night. In the darkness, the turtle's shell is just a rounded shape beneath a trace of moonlight. It may remain still for a long while, then shift 1 foot, sending a small circle across the water. Below the surface, fish pass through dim green-brown rooms made of stems and shadows. Some fish feed at night. Some use low-light vision, seeing what little brightness the moon and sky provide. Others rely strongly on smell, or on a special sense called the lateral line. The lateral line is a system along a fish's body that detects movement and vibration in the water. It can feel the gentle pressure of currents, the tremble of nearby motion, and the shifting patterns of the pond around it. In this way, the night beneath the water is not silent to a fish. It is full of soft information, a ripple spreading, a reed brushing the surface, a tiny insect touching down, a current curling around a stone. The fish moves through these signals with slow adjustments of fins and tail, part of the wetland's hidden conversation. Insects, too, belong to the shoreline night. Mosquitoes and midges may rise in small clouds where the air is damp and still. Dragonflies may rest among wetland plants, and aquatic insect larvae live among roots, mud, and submerged leaves. Some insects hum above the water. Some cling to stems. Some rest beneath leaves until the light changes again. Wetlands depend on many such small lives. They are feeding places, resting places, nurseries, and shelters. At night, these roles continue quietly, without display. The marsh does not announce its work. It simply holds water, grows reeds, shelters frogs, carries fish, and reflects the moon. The pond grows darker near the far shore, where shrubs lean low, and their reflections meet the reflections of clouds. Frog calls rise again, then fall. The cattails sway, pause, and sway once more. A heron remains near the edge, a slim shape in the silver-gray dark. Somewhere among the reeds, a small pair of eyes catches the moonlight for a moment. They shine only because light is there to be reflected. Moonlight, starlight, perhaps the faint glow of the open sky. The glimmer appears, then softens as the animal turns away. And in that quiet reflection, the wetland night begins to lead us toward another, gentle wonder of darkness. The many kinds of eyes that gather dim light, and the soft shine that sometimes returns from them. Chapter 10 Eyes That Shine. At the edge of the meadow, where the grasses lean softly against the darker line of trees, a few small lights seem to appear and disappear. They are not stars, and they are not fireflies. They are stiller than fireflies, lower than stars, and they glow only when the angle is just right. A pair of greenish points looks out from the hedgerow. A little farther on, near the reeds, two golden specks rest close to the water. Then, as quietly as they came, the lights turn away and vanish into the night. This gentle glow is called eyeshine. It is not light made by the eye, the way a firefly makes light in its body. Eyeshine is reflected light. It happens when a beam of light enters an animal's eye and bounces back from a special layer inside. In many animals, this layer sits behind the retina, the light-sensitive part at the back of the eye. The layer is called the tapetum lucidum. A simple way to imagine it is as a tiny reflective surface, giving dim light a second chance. When light passes through the retina, some of it is used right away. But in animals with the tapetum lucidum, light that would otherwise be lost can be reflected back through the retina again. This can help the eye use low light more efficiently. It does not make darkness bright, and it does not let an animal see in absolute darkness. There still must be some light, moonlight, starlight, twilight, or the faint glow of the sky. But in the half-light of evening, or the silver hush of night, that reflected light can be useful. Many mammals have eyeshine. A cat pausing in porch shadow may blink slowly, its pupils wide and dark, and for a moment its eyes may gleam green or gold. A deer at the forest edge may lift its head, reflect a soft amber light, and then step calmly into cover. Foxes, raccoons, and many other mammals may show eyeshine too, depending on where the light comes from and how it reaches the eye. Some nocturnal primates also have eye structures that help them gather dim light. The color of eyeshine can vary. It may look green, yellow, orange, blue-white, or red. The color depends on the species, the shape of the eye, the reflective layer, the angle of view, and the kind of light shining toward it. Even the same animal's eyeshine may appear slightly different from one moment to the next, as its head turns or the observer moves. The glow is not a message or a flame. It is simply light returning, like moonlight reflected from water. Near the pond, a frog rests among the reeds, with only its head above the surface. Its eyes sit high, watching both water and air. Some frogs and other animals may show eye reflection too, depending on their species and eye structure. A small golden glimmer near the cattails may be a frog facing the light, then only a smooth ripple as it turns away. In the stillness, the pond holds many reflections at once. The reed stems, the stars, and sometimes the brief shining of watchful eyes. Night vision is not the same in every animal. There is no single design for seeing after sunset. Some animals have large eyes that gather more light. Some have pupils that open wide in dim conditions, letting more light enter. A cat's pupils, for example, can widen greatly in darkness and narrow in bright daylight. The pupil is the dark opening in the eye, and it works a little like a window that can change size. When there is less light, the window opens wider. When there is too much light, it becomes smaller. Inside the retina are cells that sense light. One kind is called a rod cell. Rod cells are especially helpful in dim light and for noticing movement. Many animals that are active at night have retinas rich in rod cells. These cells may not give the sharpest color-filled view, but they help the animal notice shape, motion, and the soft differences between shadow and shadow. The brain also has its part to play, sorting and understanding the faint information that comes from the eyes. Owls, watching from a branch in the quiet woodland, have their own way of meeting the night. Many owls do not have a mammal-like tapetum lucidum. Their night vision depends instead on large eyes, many light-sensitive rod cells, and other adaptations. Their eyes face forward, helping them judge distance, and because owl eyes are fixed more firmly in place than human eyes, owls turn their heads to look around. They may also rely deeply on hearing, noticing small sounds carried through the leaves and grass. For an owl, the night is not only seen, it is also listened to. Humans do not have a tapetum lucidum. Our eyes do not give dim light that same reflective second chance. We can see in twilight, and our pupils widen in low light, but compared with many nocturnal animals, our night vision is modest. This is one reason the nighttime world can seem mysterious to us. We may hear a rustle and see only darkness, while another creature notices the shape of a branch, the movement of a beetle, or the path through tall grass. Yet sight is only one sense among many. Even animals with excellent low-light vision often depend on hearing, smell, touch, and memory. A fox may use its nose to read scent along a path. A mouse may follow familiar routes and tunnels, with whiskers brushing gently against the earth. A bat may listen to returning echoes. A fish in dark water may feel movement through a sensory system along its sides. In the night, the world is known in many ways. The tiny glimmers at the field edge fade as the animals turn their heads and continue on. The deer lowers its gaze and moves beyond the trees. The frog settles deeper among the reeds. The cat in the porch shadow closes its eyes for a moment, then opens them again, dark pupils touched by a quiet thread of moonlight. All across the landscape, eyes, ears, noses, whiskers, and delicate skin are helping animals find their way. And as these quiet senses guide them, the night's small work continues. Flowers wait for their pollinators. Seeds are carried through the dark. Insects move among leaves and soil. Water stirs at the pond's edge. The shining eyes are only brief signs of a much wider life, glowing for a moment, and then returning to the soft, connected darkness. Chapter 11. The Hidden Work of Night. Under the wide, quiet sky, the night is doing more than it seems. To a passing glance, a meadow after sunset may look still. A forest path may appear empty beneath its leaves. A pond may hold only the moon's pale reflection, and an orchard may seem to be resting beneath the stars. But all through these places, small tasks are continuing. They are not hurried tasks, and they do not call attention to themselves. They are the hidden work of night. In the cool air beside a pale flower, a moth settles lightly. Its wings are soft and powdery, patterned in muted browns and creams that blend with bark and shadow. As it reaches toward the flower's nectar, tiny grains of pollen cling to its body. Pollen is the fine dust made by flowers, and when it is carried from one flower to another, it can help plants make seeds or fruit. This carrying is called pollination. Many people know bees as daytime pollinators, but night has pollinators too. Moths, beetles, bats, and other night visitors move from bloom to bloom in the dark. Some flowers seem especially suited to these quiet guests. They may open in the evening instead of the day. They may be pale, so they show more clearly in dim light. They may send a strong, sweet scent into the air, a fragrant trail that can be followed by insects or nectar-feeding bats. The exchange is gentle and ancient. A flower offers nectar, and a visitor carries pollen onward without needing to understand the larger pattern. One moth visits one blossom, then another. One bat passes through an orchard or over a desert wash where night-opening flowers wait. One beetle moves slowly through the petals of a bloom. Over time, these small movements help plants renew themselves. Farther away in a warm forest, where fruit hangs among the branches, another kind of carrying takes place. A fruit bat may feed on soft fruit, and later leave seeds behind in a new place. Other fruit-eating animals may do the same, either through their droppings or by carrying pieces of fruit away from the parent tree. This spreading of seeds is called seed dispersal. It helps seeds travel beyond the shade and crowding of the plant that made them. Not every seed will grow, and not every journey will lead to a new tree. Nature works with many possibilities. But some seeds find damp soil, a gap of light, or a quiet place beneath leaves. In time, a small root may press downward, and a green shoot may rise. In this way, forests can regenerate, which means they can renew and grow back. The night helps by moving life from one place to another, softly, and without announcement. Across open fields and along wetland edges, insects drift and hum in the darkness. Some are tiny and almost unseen. Some sing from grass stems or reeds. Some fly above water, and some move through the shelter of bark and leaves. Insects are part of many food webs. A food web is the set of feeding connections among plants, animals, fungi, and microbes. It is not a simple chain, but a woven pattern, with many threads crossing and supporting one another. Bats, frogs, spiders, birds, and small mammals all feed on insects in different ways. This does not mean one animal alone keeps everything balanced. Ecosystems are more complex than that. An ecosystem is a community of living things and their surroundings, the soil, the water, the weather, the plants, and the animals together. Each creature is part of a larger pattern, and the pattern is always changing with the seasons, the rain, the temperature, and the availability of food. A bat crossing an orchard under the stars may take a night-flying insect. A frog near a pond may wait among wet reeds. A spider may feel the faint trembling of its web. A small mammal may nose through leaf litter, finding beetles or larvae beneath damp leaves. These moments are ordinary in the life of the night. They are not dramatic. They are simply part of how energy moves from one living thing to another. Below the taller stems and branches, another kind of work happens close to the ground. Fallen leaves slowly soften into soil. Twigs grow dark and crumbly. The remains of old plants become part of the earth again. This work belongs to decomposers, living things that break down dead plants and animals. Earthworms, beetles, millipedes, fungi, and tiny microbes all help in this slow returning. Together with small animals that chew, tunnel, and stir the ground, decomposers help release nutrients. Nutrients are useful natural materials that plants need in order to grow. When leaves break down, those nutrients return to the soil. Later, roots take them up again, and new leaves unfold. This movement is called nutrient cycling. It is the quiet travel of life's building materials through soil, plants, animals, and back again. On a forest floor at night, a beetle may move through dark leaf litter. An earthworm may draw a fragment of leaf into the soil. A millipede may feed on soft plant matter. Some nocturnal mammals, while searching for food, dig lightly or turn the soil. Their small disturbances can let air and water into the ground and mix leaf fragments with earth. Nothing in this work is rushed. A fallen leaf does not become soil in one evening. A tree does not grow from a seed in a single night. The hidden work of darkness often happens slowly, step by step, season by season. It is patient work. It is the work of small mouths, soft feet, damp roots, and quiet wings. Night also connects places that seem separate in the day. A bat may fly from a roost to an orchard, then onward toward a stream. A moth may travel from a meadow to a garden. A fruit-eating animal may carry seeds from one patch of forest to another. An insect may rise from a wetland and become food for a bird at the forest edge. In these ways, meadows, wetlands, deserts, orchards, and forests are not entirely apart. They are linked by movement, by scent, by water, by pollen, by seeds, and by the daily rhythms of animals. Even a desert night has its hidden work. Pale blossoms may open after sunset, when the air has cooled. A moth or bat may visit them. In a rainforest, fruit may fall softly to the forest floor, where insects, fungi, and small animals begin to make use of it. In a marsh, reeds lean over dark water, while frogs call and tiny aquatic larvae move below the surface. Everywhere, the night gathers its small tasks and carries them forward. Because these tasks are quiet, they can be easy to overlook. Artificial light at night can confuse some insects and change the behavior of bats, birds, and other animals. Habitat loss, pesticides, climate change, and polluted water can also affect nocturnal life. These are large concerns, but there are gentle choices that can help. Shielding outdoor lights so they point downward, using light only when needed, planting native flowers, protecting wet places, and caring for the night can all make a big difference. And caring for patches of shrubs and trees can make night places kinder for wildlife. A native flower is one that naturally belongs to a region and often supports the local insects and animals that have lived alongside it over time. A darker corner of a garden, a small brush pile where it is safe and appropriate, or a porch light, turned off when not needed, can become part of a more welcoming night. Small choices do not solve everything at once, but they can add softness to the edges of the human world. And so, the hidden work continues. A moth dusted with pollen rests for a moment on a pale flower. Beetles move through the dark, loosening the old leaves. A bat passes overhead, like a small shadow beneath the stars. Somewhere in a forest, a fruit drops gently to the ground. Somewhere under damp soil, tiny living things are already beginning their patient labor. The night is not empty. It is full of slow exchanges, quiet carrying, and careful renewal. It is full of lives that touch one another in ways both simple and intricate. And as these many small tasks continue in their calm, steady rhythm, the eastern sky begins, very gradually, to soften. The deepest blue grows a little paler. The stars fade one by one. Across the fields and forests, the animals of darkness begin turning toward their sheltered places. And the world prepares for the gentle change of dawn. Chapter 12. Dawn and Rest. Toward morning, the night begins to loosen its hold very slowly. The sky, which was once a deep blue bowl scattered with stars, softens at the edges. First it becomes a quieter blue, then a pale gray, and then near the horizon, a faint wash of silver. The moon may still be there, thin and calm, fading as the light grows. Over the grass, a low mist rests close to the ground. Each blade holds a bead of water. Each leaf seems to wait. For many nocturnal animals, this is the time of returning. Nocturnal means active mostly at night, but it does not always mean awake from sunset until sunrise without pause. Many night animals move, feed, listen, rest briefly, and move again. Their lives are shaped by light and temperature, by the season, by weather, by the availability of food, and by an inner timing system called a biological clock. A biological clock is a natural rhythm inside a living body, helping it know when to be active and when to settle. Now, as dawn approaches, those rhythms begin to guide many creatures back toward shelter. A bat crosses the paling sky in a low, smooth curve. Its wings, made of thin skin, stretched over long finger bones, fold and open with quiet precision. Perhaps it has spent the night following echoes over a pond or between trees, listening for the shape of the world in sound. Now it turns toward its roost, which is the place where bats rest. Some bats roost in caves. Others choose tree hollows, loose bark, leafy branches, bridges, old buildings, or narrow sheltered spaces where the daylight is dim and steady. Before or around sunrise, many bats disappear into these hidden places. One small form slips beneath a strip of bark. Another enters a dark opening in stone. Inside, wings fold close, bodies become still, and the busy map of echoes grows quiet. In the trees, an owl settles on a hidden perch. Not all owls are active only at night, and some prefer the soft edges of dusk and dawn, but many have spent the dark hours listening carefully. Their large, forward-facing eyes gather dim light, while their hearing helps them notice small movements in leaf litter or grass. Now the owl turns its head slowly, looking over the pale morning woods. In some species, an owl can turn its head very far, up to about 270 degrees, though not all the way around. Then it grows still. Its feathers blend with bark and shadow. A sheltered branch, a hollow tree, a cliff ledge, a barn beam, or a place near a nest may become its quiet daytime refuge. The forest does not need to see the owl clearly. It is enough that the owl is there, folded into the pattern of the tree. At the meadow's edge, a fox moves along a familiar path. Under moonlight, its red coat looked gray and soft. Now, in early morning, color slowly returns to the world. Dew darkens the fox's paws. Its ears turn once toward the field, then toward the hedgerow. That line of shrubs and small trees, where narrow passages wind beneath leaves. Foxes are adaptable animals. They are often crepuscular, which means active around dawn and dusk, and they may be more nocturnal in places where nights are quieter than days. Some return to dens, especially when raising young. Others rest in thickets, under shrubs, in tall grass, or in sheltered places above ground. This fox slips through a gap in the hedge, white-tipped tail following last, and the grass closes softly behind it. On the forest floor, smaller lives are also returning. A mouse follows a scent-marked trail beneath roots. Its whiskers brush fern stems and curly leaves, helping it feel the space around it. A shrew, tiny and quick, may continue to move in short bursts, because shrews have very high metabolisms, meaning their bodies use energy rapidly. Some small mammals are not strictly nocturnal. They may wake and rest many times through both night and day. Still, as daylight grows, many return to burrows, nests, hollow logs, or protected cover beneath leaves and stones. A hedgehog, in regions where hedgehogs live, noses once more through leaf litter, before tucking into a dense, hidden place. Hedgehogs are nocturnal in many parts of their range, using smell and hearing to find insects, worms, slugs, and other small invertebrates. Now the damp earth smells of moss and old wood. The leaf litter settles behind it. The entrance to its shelter becomes only a shadow among shadows. Under bark and beneath stones, many insects grow still. A moth that visited pale flowers in the night rests with wings closed like folded paper. A beetle finds a crevice in rotting wood. Crickets and katydids, whose sounds may have filled the dark with gentle rhythm, quiet gradually as the air changes. Some insects hide under leaves, in soil, beneath bark, or inside plant stems during the day. Others remain active, depending on species and temperature. The world of insects is varied and finely timed. Dawn is not an ending so much as a change of shifts. As many nocturnal animals settle, diurnal animals, those active mostly by day, begin to stir. A small bird gives the first soft notes from a branch. Another answers from farther away. The sounds are light at first, scattered and clear. In the wetland, reeds stand in pale reflection. A frog may fall silent, or another may call once more if the morning is damp and warm. At the forest edge, deer may still be moving quietly, for many animals are most active at the borders of night and day. Crepuscular creatures linger in this in-between time. They belong to the gentle thresholds, not fully night, not fully day. Rabbits may pause near cover. Foxes may take a final path home. Some birds, insects and mammals shift their habits with the season, the weather, and the nearness of people. In towns and cities, certain wild animals may choose darker, quieter hours simply because those hours feel less crowded. The light rises a little more. Sun touches the treetops before it reaches the forest floor. High leaves turn gold at their edges, while the ground remains cool and blue. A hollow log lies dark and quiet. A burrow entrance is shaded by grass. A cave mouth holds its own gentle darkness. In rock crevices, under loose bark, inside nests, beneath leaves, and deep in shrubs, the night's travelers have found their places. Not every nocturnal animal will rest all day without waking. Some will shift position. Some will groom, listen, feed briefly, or respond to warmth, rain, or disturbance. Natural rhythms are flexible. They bend with need and season. Yet the larger pattern remains. Darkness gave one set of creatures room to move, and morning gives another set their turn. The mist thins over the meadow. The last stars fade. Leaves grow still, not empty, but quietly occupied. Folded wings hang in a roost. Bright eyes close in shaded hollows. Small paws rest beneath roots. Antennae tuck under bark. The den, the cave, the burrow. The nest, the hollow, and the hidden perch all hold their calm. And above them, the day begins softly. Some animals rest. Some animals wake. The world continues in balance, not fixed and unmoving, but gently changing, hour by hour. Night has done its quiet work, and its lives are tucked safely away, until the light fades again, until the air cools, until the first blue shadows return, and sunset opens the paths once more.